The story of this abandoned train tunnel we stand in front of began 5 years before its building in 1897, when the nearby Wachusett Reservoir was created to feed the city of Boston. At its completion, it became the largest gravity dam in the world. With the construction of the Wachusett Reservoir in the early 1900s, many structures needed to be leveled. Whole communities were razed, and roads and train tracks needed to be rerouted. To create the dam, churches, schools, and industrial buildings, as well as homes, were destroyed, and 4,000 bodies were dug up and moved to other grounds. Thousands of immigrants toiled for 5 years until 1903. During the reservoir's first filling, the nearby sands liquefied and flowed into the reservoir, almost causing a failure. It has stood since then for 100 years with no issue. After the building of the dam in 1903, as part of the railroad rerouting, a tunnel was also built for the Boston and Maine Railroad, allowing it to cross the newly formed waters. This 1,080-foot long, 16-foot wide, and 22-foot tall tunnel was in use until in 1958 passenger service ceased and the tracks were pulled up. It was then left to decay and vanish into the forest. Upon first entering, it is clear taggers have been here for some time. Leaves and trash litter the floor. In the distance, a small point of light marks the end. I often don't like graffiti in abandoned locations, but in this case it adds to the interest. On the sides, some partial collapses can be seen. The deeper in we get, the wetter it is, as water drips from the ceilings above, causing camera issues.
It's gross. I should have rolled up my pants. Dicks. Dicks and dicks. Yeah.
Eventually, the tunnel becomes more cave-like. The feeling of being in the ribcage of a huge whale becomes one of being in a mine.
It's always been very wet down at this end.
Obviously there's people.
Water flows from cracks in the ceiling and forms large pools below, mixed with fallen rocks. Almost at the end, water begins to form a deep pool at the entrance. Ahead, a large archway leads to a railbed lined with small cliffs and filled with standing water and mud. An old trestle forms a further arch in the distance. We start to cross the muck, but it's just too deep. Between the strange wall art, a tunnel with no rails or seeming purpose, it isn't hard to imagine future archaeologists or explorers finding this place and imagining it as some kind of ritual or religious site connected to a mythological underworld. Looking at the ceiling and falling rocks, it's easy to see a future collapse blocking the tunnel. We leave just in time and head out. The second object of our trip today is the abandoned 808 Lackawanna Railway passenger train near North Station, New York. The Lackawanna route had failed after a decline in coal and cement needs, the cessation of food shipments from the west, and the rise of new highway systems. The rail line changed names and owners over the 1960s, and the train came to rest on the Saratoga and North Creek railway lines. This new home ceased operation in 1989, was revived briefly in 2011 until 2018 when it shut down forever due to financial issues. Upon reaching the area that the train was near, we discover it was very recently moved to a museum down the line and has been partially restored as a showpiece. We still decide to have some fun with it.
This is 404 over 808.
That's it for today's Explore. Until next time. Subscribe and explore with us today.